The news begins with the just concluded primaries in Anambra State, where Nicholas Ukachukwu has been declared the winner of the All Progressives Congress governorship primary election in Anambra State ahead of the November 8, 2025 governorship election in the state. In a keenly contested primary election, 4 aspirants, namely John Bosco Onunkwo, Valentine Ozigbo, Edozie Madu and Nicholas Ukachukwu vied for the votes of the 1,630 delegates. The election was conducted by APC Electoral Panel Chairman and Cross River State Governor Basi Otu under tight security at the Professor Dora Akunyili Women Development Center, Awka, the Anambra State capital. Now, the chairman of the electoral panel announced the results, revealing that 1,582 delegates were accredited, 1,582 votes were cast, and 26 votes were deemed invalid.
But before he goes back, let me wish him the very best in this house. And I think one of our colleagues have congratulated you. We have Edozie Madu, who scored 8 votes. Please accept those because no time so we will clap for all the We have John Bosco Onunkwo, who scored 26 votes. We have Valentine.
News Central's Austin Azu was on ground to cover the APC primaries, and he now joins us on the news to give more updates. Austin, tell us, what is your assessment of the APC primaries that held yesterday in Anambra State?
Of course, it was a very Herculean task for the All Progressives Congress in Anambra State in selecting the flag bearer of their party, knowing fully well that is the APGA that is in control of Anambra State. And of course, the APGA actually conducted their own primary yesterday, where the governor, the incumbent governor, was adopted as a sole candidate and thereafter declared the winner of that primary election. Of course, we equally have the Labour Party as well, whereby a candidate was equally declared. But that of the APC was a very Herculean task because, of course, the delegates, the 1,630 delegates who went to where they are supposed to be accredited, stayed all through the day waiting for the accreditation. Of course, they had several delays that even some people have to staged walkout. We equally had some pockets of some kind of skirmishes that took place precisely the Anambra Central, where they're supposed to have their own accreditation, kind of disrupted. But everything within some hours, it was normalized. But however, the bottom line there is that the duration it took for the election was quite much, because they stayed through, they went to the accreditation center around 8 in the morning. The people who spoke to yesterday actually complained that some of them slept over in that particular area. Until around 4 p.m. yesterday, they have not been attended to. So it was between 5 to 6 p.m. that they started attending to them, giving them the accreditation tag for them to move down to the Women Development Center, where they will conduct the primary election. And getting to the venue where they will conduct the primary election, of course, we experienced kind of gridlock. There was kind of, traffic. They locked the entrance gates, and of course, the security agencies were heavily armed, and not forgetting what's happening within the states, which is insecurity. So they were kind of deterring some individuals that want to gain access into the premises without being certified. Of course, some of them they said that they were not accredited. So it was really a very difficult task, and they have to open tear gas. About 4 or 5 tear gases, were released, and that was actually a great concern to some of these delegates that came. Thereafter, they were able to access the facility. They went in and they waited for about 3 hours, Finally, the election started properly around 11:45 p.m. after waiting for so many hours. And of course, we asked questions about their feeding, and we saw most of them, lying on the floor. Some of them were just weak. We met them, we spoke to them. Why taking this kind of risk? They said, yes, it's worth taking, that they are ready and willing to take power from the incumbents. Finally, they went into the ballot. 4 aspirants went into the ballots to sort the votes of the delegates, and they ran throughout the night. Around 4 a.m. this morning, finally, the result was announced. And of course, they now had a candidate that we now slug it out with other candidates of other political parties for the November 8th governorship election in Anambra State. But of course, we believe that now that they have done their primaries, it is now left for the candidates to start marketing his manifesto to the people of Anambra State. But first, like what he said, of course, he needs to go and make friends with the other aspirants that contested with him. And thereafter, he equally said that after making friends, they will not come together. Of course, he made one statement that, yes, is the people who came together at this point in time in the APC, they have formed an alliance to ensure they are able to wrestle power from the incumbent governor. By and large, the election was quite peaceful. What was anticipated that there are going to be a rancor or parallel election, but we didn't see that. But it was quite peaceful, and we hope in the days ahead we're going to see a peaceful, campaigns that will start going around the 21 local government areas of Anambra State for various political parties that will be going into the election, November 8th governorship election in Anambra State.
Absolutely, Austin. It seems quite a lot did happen from the last time that we spoke. But then, can you share with us quickly what the mood of the residents is like, residents of the state ahead of the November governorship election?
Of course, November is still very far. We are just entering April, about a few months from now. By the time they will start marketing their manifesto, before most of them will start, knowing about the election. As we speak at the moment, most residents of Anambra, I tell you for free that most of them are not even aware that the election is coming, not alone to talk about their atmosphere at the moment. It's just the political parties that are trying to put their heads together to enable that they're able to go into the poll with a one candidate, unlike what they had in some other parts. And of course, with the mindset of winning the election, because if at the end of the day they don't win that election, of course, their mood will be discouraged. But the mood in Anambra State at the moment is just, we want security, we want our economic life. Of course, what is happening in the Southeast, they sit at home. They told us that it's affecting their businesses. If that could be normalized and for them to start enjoying their life they are enjoying every Mondays, that would be a better place for them. But who will not settle this? I believe the next governor, or probably this current government in Anambra State, will be able to normalize it so that people will start going about their lawful duties. It's really a big challenge in Anambra State, the insecurity. I tell you for free. But of course, the current government will tell you that is doing everything humanly possible to enable him to understand, to curtail the insecurity. But the opposition party will tell you that, yes, the governor is not doing anything, but it's left for them to go and, argue it out and let the people in the streets of Anambra confirm if the governor has done enough in the aspect of insecurity or not. But for now, the atmosphere is still on, so let us survive for now before the election day. That is how the mood's like in Anambra State.
Well, thank you so much, Austin, for that. Now, away from that, 2023 presidential candidates from major political parties are intensifying their calls for urgent electoral reform ahead of the 2027 elections. Now, the People's Democratic Party's Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party's Peter Obi, and Peter Ame, the National Secretary of the Coalition of United Political Parties, have all voiced strong support for comprehensive changes to the country's electoral system. They argue that such reforms are vital to ensuring the integrity of future elections and are critical to the success of ongoing national coalition negotiations. As the 2027 elections draw nearer, opposition leaders are rallying together, pressing for the amendment of existing electoral laws. Atiku Abubakar, through his media aide, Paul Ibe, emphasized that the reforms are necessary to uphold the credibility of the electoral process. Meanwhile, Peter Obi, represented by Tonko Yunusa, national coordinator of the Obedient Movement, also underscored the need for reform aimed at improving the election process. Elsewhere, the Shekiri Nation has rejected the proposed ward delineation report by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Delta State, threatening legal action if the exercise is implemented. Now, speaking at a press conference in Asaba, Amorigoye Mene, Secretary of the Shekiri Leaders of Thought, condemned the delineation as unfair. He argued that it fails to reflect the population and voter strength of the ethnic groups in the Warri federal constituency, including the Shekiris, Urobos, and Ijos. Mene cited discrepancies in ward allocations, with the Shekiris having fewer wards than their voter strength would suggest, and warned that the issue could lead to ethnic tension. The group called for a fairer, more equitable adjustment. We now move to security matters, where troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army, Sector 3, Operation WHIRL STROKE, have neutralized 3 bandits, destroyed several camps, and recovered arms and ammunition in a daring clearance operation in Karim, Lamido local government area of Taraba State. This is contained in a press statement issued by the Acting Assistant Director of Army Public Relations, 6th Brigade, Captain Olubodunde Oni. The operation, which took place on April 5, 2025, is in continuation of the ongoing military operations codenamed Operation Lafiya Jamaa, aimed at flushing out criminal elements from Taraba State. Now, according to the statement, the operation, which targeted suspected bandits' hideouts, saw troops advancing to Achalle, where they thoroughly cleared the general area before projecting further force into Chibi. The troops also conducted a thorough combing of the Dutz and Zaiki and Achalle axis, where over 70 criminal camps have been dismantled in recent weeks. Still on security matters, President Bola Tinubu has vowed that those responsible for the deadly attacks in Plateau State will face severe punishment. He condemned the killings of Rui, Hurti, Tadei, Mangwana, and Darfur communities, where gunmen launched brutal assaults, leaving many dead and homes destroyed. The president extended his condolences to the families of the victims and assured Governor Caleb Mutfwang of his full support in restoring peace. Tinubu urged affected communities to cooperate with security agencies and shared information to help apprehend the attackers. The Nigerian police force has officially invited the 16th Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, for questioning in relation to a clash that occurred during the recent Eid al-Fitr procession in Kano. Now, reports say that the invitation follows a deadly incident that occurred on Eid Day as the Emir's entourage moved from the Eid prayer ground to the palace in a traditional procession. The clash, which marred the otherwise peaceful celebration, led to the tragic loss of life of vigilante member Suraju Rabiu and left one other injured. Security agencies had earlier placed a restriction on Durbar activities during the Salah period due to safety concerns. Now, despite the directive, Emir Sanusi reportedly led Durbar processions and paid a visit to the Kano government house, attracting large crowds. However, the entourage were in cars as against the traditional horse ride. Earlier, our correspondent Emmanuel Bagudu joins us for more updates.
Within Kano and not the Federal Capital Territory, as the invitation is showing, which is actually showing some kind of, bringing a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of supporters of Mohammed II believe that it's an attempt to withdraw, to remove him from the Kobe Kudu Palace and then replace him with Amina Adobero. That is what they are saying, because they suspect, they believe that is a move by the federal government. They believe that is a move by the people who do not like Mohammed Sanusi II to become emir. So they believe it's an intentional attempt or rather an indirect attempt to remove him from office. Yeah.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you that former Oyo State Governor Omololu Olunloyo dies at 89. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, former Oyo State Governor Dr. Victor Omololu Olunloyo has passed away at the age of 89, few days to his 90th birthday. His family confirmed the news in a statement on Sunday, revealing that he died at a private hospital in Ibadan after a brief illness. His wife, Mrs. Ronke Olunloyo, shared that preparations were underway for the 90th birthday celebration set for later this month. Dr. Olunloyo, a renowned mathematician, engineer, and technocrat, served as the first rector of Kwara State Polytechnic, among other distinguished roles. His family reflects on his extensive contributions to the nation and his legacy. Arrangements for his funeral are now being made. May his soul rest in peace. In the same vein, President Bola Tinubu has expressed heartfelt condolences to the people of Oyo State following the death of the former governor of Old Oyo State. In a statement by his spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, Tinubu extended sympathies to the Olunloyo family and all who admired the late elder statesman. Dr. Olunloyo, renowned for his brilliance in applied mathematics and number theory, made significant contributions as the founding rector of the Polytechnic of Ibadan and Kwara State Polytechnic. His leadership left a lasting impact on Nigeria's educational system. Tinubu praised Olunloyo for his dedication to education, national development, and his brief but visionary tenure as governor. He prayed for eternal peace for the late scholar and statesman. Away from that, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has intercepted cocaine hidden in the walls of several suitcases. The agency's director of media, Femi Babafemi, shared the news on X, posting videos of the confiscated contraband. He expressed concern over the smugglers' extreme efforts manufacturing the drugs within the suitcase linings with surgical precision. Babafemi noted that while the operation required significant resources, NDLEA operatives successfully uncovered the hidden narcotics. According to the video released by the agency, officers were slicing through suitcase linings to remove the hidden cocaine. The allure of waterfront living, the promise of serene views, and the pressure of a rapid growing population have led to a concerning trend in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory identified as the encroachment of waterways. Now, from individual homes to sprawling estates and malls, construction of private property has now reduced several major waterways to water channels, which experts say pose a great risk to residents. News Central correspondent Aishat Salihu examines the issues around the trend and possible solutions.
Construction of private property beneath bridges following the encroachment of waterways is now becoming a popular trend in Abuja. A visit to several satellite communities such as Karu, Orozo, Bayagi, and others has identified the erection of private property along water channels as citizens now encroach on the capital's waterways. Experts say that the consequences of building on these floodplains and within designated buffer zones extend beyond property damage, as stagnant water also creates breeding grounds for mosquitoes, thereby increasing the risk of malaria and other waterborne diseases. This also makes sanitation a major challenge, further jeopardizing the health of residents.
If anybody goes to build on waterways, is automatically going against the development control regulation for FCT. We all know what happened last year or some previous years. We all knew what happened some previous year ago, whereby there's this blockage of the water channels that led to flooding in some estates. If you go to Lokogoma, one other estate along Lugbe, and lives were lost. Lives of innocent citizens were lost.
Although the FCTA acknowledges the problem, residents who live within these areas, while speaking off camera, say that this has been possible because enforcement is weak. Many claim that permits were granted in error or that illegal structures are being allowed to proliferate affected waterways without timely intervention. Experts in the construction sector warn that this will further contribute to environmental hazards and natural disasters if left unchecked.
So water is not it's natural that water flows, right? It's natural. But you building on this path, you understand, blocking the canal way or the channel for water, that's when you begin to have issues like flooding. Aside the fact that drainage systems are being blocked by waste, understand, from the environment.
Waterways encroachment degrades natural ecosystems, disrupts drainage patterns, and can lead to the pollution of water sources. While the delicate balance of the environment is disrupted for short-term gains, the big question is, what can be done to end this trend?
Once you don't get a building plan approval, your building plan is not approved for you to commence building, and you erect any building anywhere, automatically that building is considered as an illegal structure. And once it's a illegal structure, the department, which is development control, have the right to go in there and pull down your building.
For residents living in these precarious conditions, the fear of the next heavy rainfall looms large. They are caught between the need for shelter and the constant threat of disaster.
The beauty of Abuja should not come at the cost of the safety and well-being of its residents. Ignoring the dangers of encroaching waterways is a disaster waiting to happen. It is time now to take proactive actions just to ensure there is safety of lives, property, and the environment. In the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
In Katsina State, residents are facing one of the harshest heat waves in recent history, with temperatures soaring as high as 43 degrees Celsius, well above seasonal averages. Now, the extreme heat has turned daily life into a survival or struggle for survival. From housewives like Halimatu, who collapsed in her own kitchen during Ramadan, the crisis has exposed the region's vulnerability to the growing threats of climate change, with medical experts calling it the most brutal heat season yet. News Central's Jamil Mabay tells us more in this special report.
For Halimatu Abdul Hadi, what started as a normal day in her kitchen during Ramadan nearly turned fatal. No electricity and airless walls trapping the heat. She collapsed, gasping for breath.
So all I could remember was I could not breathe. At that moment, I thought I was dying. The next thing I saw myself at the hospital with oxygen normalizers.
Now recovered, Halimatu is one of hundreds who have survived what doctors describe as the most brutal heat season Katsina has seen in decades.
What we are experiencing now is actually a true heat wave. Looking at how the temperature has been spiking in the last 1 month or 6 weeks or so. And I think one of the major consequences of this heat wave is the issue of dehydration. With quite a number of patients I have seen during this fasting being admitted in the hospital, especially anything during usually peak afternoon, anything around noon. Most of the time they will tell you he was just complaining of dizziness or generalized body weakness. Suddenly, patient is being noticed to be unresponsive. They will call his name, he's unable to talk, or he's even unable to respond.
With temperatures peaking at 43 degrees, 5 degrees higher than the average, the heat is pushing the region beyond its limits. Experts link the spike to a deadly mix of climate change and rampant deforestation.
Katsina State is one of the states in Nigeria extremely hit by this negative impact of climate change. About 80% of the Katsina State vegetation is gone.
The impact has rippled through the economy. Katsina's commercial motorcyclists, or Okada riders as they are popularly known, now avoid working under the midday sun. Adamu Usman starts before dawn and resumes after dusk. Daylight, he says, is a death sentence.
Kuma wannan rana daidai da mu da ke hawa ma keke napep idan tamfol nashi ya dau zahi kai ma da ke ciki hatta iska mai kadawa in ya bugo zaka ji ko ina jikinka ya dau zahi. Ranar in ta yi zafi sosai fasinjan ma ba a samun su yadda ya kamata dole sai dai.
For others like Abdullahi and Armaya Umusa, earnings have dwindled. What little they make often goes into buying water to stay hydrated as they choose between their health and survival. With erratic electricity, no functioning cooling systems, and fewer trees to offer shade, residents are left to battle the heat with their bare skin.
People should avoid contact with the sun as much as they can.
Doctors advise frequent hydration, light clothing, and staying indoors during peak hours. But for those who must work daily to survive, these precautions often remain impractical. Until the government and communities invest in systematic solutions like afforestation, urban planning, and climate resilience, Katsina may find itself choking on the hotter skies each year. In Katsina, for News Central, Jamil Mabai.
Borno State has witnessed a significant boost in its agricultural sector as wheat farmers in resettled communities commence their harvest. Now, the year's harvest is expected to be one of the largest in recent memory as farmers reap the fruits of months of hard work in Baga. News Central's Umari Kirawa completes the report.
An aerial view of one of the wheat farms in Baga town of Borno State in the Lake Chad, an area previously inaccessible due to insurgent activities.
Here is one of the largest wheat farms in the Lake Chad, and with the harvest season in full swing, wheat yields are reported to be higher than anticipated, promising to provide a means of livelihood for many resettled families, a renewed hope for food security and possible export.
da muka zo muna taunan bohol kuma sai muka ga cewa lalle wannan abun da ake din da gaske ne ba da wasa ba sai muka yi kokari muka kutsa muka shiga ciki kuma alhamdulillah kwalliya ta biya kudin sabulu.
Ai da mutum bai sai zuwa nan bai yanzu gashi mun zo yanzu gashi za a je har can za a je a abin da kaga alhamdulillah lamarin tsaro sai dai suna jami'an tsaro din ya kamata su ƙara ƙarfin gwiwa.
Ya ne kam lartin dai na garin karama lartin da ne lewa alai sudura isu taman lewa ba da tarzu ana kamande andera ndelewa suruna isu lortulan barin dia abuyi kintan dia boye koyo kumaro ande de dir kumaro kam doy na languzuna bare isu da zuna de shinkafa ila mai ba ko na shinkafa grade kam dundi dina.
The Borno State government has played a crucial role by providing free combined harvester services to ease the harvest process, ensuring a smooth and efficient collection of crops.
We are expecting 2.5 tons per hectare in this. And you can see, through the wisdom of His Excellency, even the combined harvester we're using for free for the farmers. It will cost a farmer way over 30,000 to harvest 1 hectare of wheat. But His Excellency is doing it for free because he wants to stimulate food security. He wants people to come out and farm, resilience building, job creation, economic empowerment, so that the era of free food will be over.
We have now fully resuscitated and revived the Baga folder project, which was abandoned for almost 2 decades. It's now fully back to life, as you can see. Everything is very okay here as the harvest of wheat is ongoing. And since we commenced this harvest, the market price was depressed with almost 7% in Borno. If we can put more effort to revive the complete South Chad irrigation scheme, believe me, Borno State alone can contribute 20% of wheat consumption or requirement in Nigeria.
The wheat farming initiative also targets to support resettled communities and bridge the consumption and production statistics of the country.
Solar mega form say tulur barazu gwamna su da kamar wa yakin ma fixing to do yakis suduna marma ba am san maso sanna kur kamar kuru mota ka tafi la kamar sai ya indina do sudunan bi kamar kuru karaka ta sadin.
With the promise of higher yields and reduced cost, the wheat farming industry in Borno is providing a pathway for long-term growth, contributing to both food security and economic development in the region. In Baga for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
Now back to the southeast. Despite the state of emergency in Rivers State, economic activities continue to thrive at night. News Central crew explore a major hotspot in the capital, Port Harcourt, to bring you this report.
It's been days since the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State by the president, and we've gone around the state.
We've been to schools, we've been to the mall, and nothing has really changed.
So we decided to come out at night to see if activities have actually changed or is changing at night. And we are here at
Abacha Road. Well, this is the hub of nightlife in Port Harcourt. And we're here to see if anything has changed.
Abacha Road, one of the busiest thoroughfares in Port Harcourt, is a bustling hub of commercial activity. Hotels, supermarkets, bars and restaurants line the street, catering to the needs of the local population and visitors alike. James, the manager at a prominent supermarket on Abacha Road, shared his perspective on the impact of the state of emergency on his business operations.
Customers are coming. My market is my market is booming. You understand? So nothing affects. Understand? Nothing affects.
However, John, a local barbecue vendor, acknowledged a slight decline in the customer traffic due to the arrival of the sole administrator and the state of emergency.
Many people know bring out money. They all think ahead of what's going to happen.
Ladies, how are you doing?
Similarly, night workers, bar owners and electric goods sellers echoed the sentiment that economic activities continue to thrive, although with some fluctuations.
They are becoming, but not as before, like that.
Everywhere is scanty. People want to respect themselves by being at home.
Let's say that the sales of drinks and the sales of food, will I say it dropped? That's the first day that the order was made on the state. The first day we didn't have more sales, everywhere was quiet. So after that day, the business boosted back.
And they see customers, yes.
Do they still pay like they used to before?
Maybe not.
While the state of emergency has undoubtedly brought about changes, there are concerns that inaccurate narratives are being circulated about the situation in Rivers State.
My family is in overseas. They are calling me, "Are you safe? Are you safe?" I said, "I don't know about you. I don't hear anything. No shooting or anything. We are just doing our thing. No problem here. So you Nigerians in overseas, here is safe. Port Harcourt is safe as usual." The nightlife, just the way it was before the election and after the election, everybody's happy. Everybody's moving well. Don't mind those media, political media antagonists trying to blackmail Rivers State.
One notable challenge faced by the community is the increased presence and occasional harassment from security operatives.
There were enough of military personnel here yesterday, like 3 vans or 4, more than that were just here.
The police became more emboldened. They've been coming out here almost every time to disturb most of the people that hang around here. You understand what I mean? So that has actually reduced night activities in general.
As the night falls, the Abacha Road remains a hive of activity, a vibrant symbol of the resilience and determination of the people of Rivers State.
Government will have to do something, as in maybe shorten the state of emergency so as to revive the life activities in Port Harcourt.
Despite the challenges posed by the state of emergency, economic activities continue to thrive and residents remain optimistic about the future of their beloved state.
The Crown Princess of Sweden, Victoria Desiree, will be visiting Nigeria from Monday, April 7 to Wednesday, April 9. Now, this was made known by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In a statement on Sunday, acting spokesperson for the ministry, Kimibe Ebienfa, said Desiree would engage in high-level meetings with Nigerian officials to strengthen the diplomatic and economic ties between the two nations. Now, according to the statement, she will meet with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, on the first day of her visit. She will further hold discussions with Vice President Kashim Shettima as well as Governor of Lagos State. The statement further said that a key event during the visit will be the unveiling of the Swedish Trade Office in Lagos, marking a significant step in expanding bilateral trade relations. In Central Africa, heavy downpours in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa, have killed around 30 people while wreaking havoc across the Central African mega city. Now, after the rain poured down overnight from Friday to Saturday, rising waters devastated several outlying suburbs of the metropolis of some 17 million people, with some residents forced to navigate the streets by canoe. Kinshasa's Provincial Minister of Public Health, Patricienne Abakazi, said the victims either drowned or were killed when the walls of their homes collapsed, the doctor added. Now, the rising waters have paralyzed much of the haphazardly urbanized capital, cutting off traffic on National Road 1, Kinshasa's main thoroughfare, which leads from the city center to the airport.
Parce que il y a des boutiques à Nakati, il y a des véhicules, baluki bapirogue évacué na bato bazokufa bamire ekwa ikuna ekwa ni bato basove na bao baza na vivant avec comme trop tard olinga loba yango wana mai ekoti toyebaki te ke mai ekota boye mais ndenge mai ekoti depuis totindaki message na gouvernement baluka moyen ata baluka ata mwa kano rapide moko awa évacué bato mosusu baza awa koti sikoyo mai ezosila te mai eyaki depuis kala depuis lobi na ba 15 heures ti sikoyo tozomona te eloko moko te il faut baluka moyen basunga biso pardon.
In South Africa, Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa says he will suspend all tariffs on goods imported from the United States. Now, this comes days after U.S. President Donald Trump levied 18% tariffs against the Southern African nation. The mineral-rich country's main trading partners are the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and China, and its limited exports to the U.S. comprise mainly of tobacco and sugar. President Mnangagwa said the announcement was intended to facilitate the expansion of American imports within the Zimbabwean market while simultaneously promoting the growth of Zimbabwean exports destined for the United States. The relationship between Zimbabwe and the U.S. has been marked by decades-long pressure campaigns against former ruler Robert Mugabe since the early 2000s. In North Africa, French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs Jean-Noel Barrot met the Algeria's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune in Algiers to ease tensions between the two nations. Barrot's visit comes after 8 months of strained relations that nearly led to a complete breakdown in diplomatic ties. The meeting aims to restore and strengthen bilateral relations, signaling a move towards reconciliation following a period of crisis. Both leaders are expected to discuss key issues and explore ways to improve cooperation between France and Algeria. Global leaders are scrambling to address the impact of fresh tariffs announced by U.S. President Donald Trump, including a 10% baseline tariff on most imports. Now, while Indonesia and Taiwan have pledged not to impose retaliatory tariffs, Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu is traveling to Washington to meet with Trump directly. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer warned that the world as we knew it has gone, emphasizing that the British government is ready to protect the economy from the tariffs' effects. Experts are concerned about rising prices for consumers, while Trump remains firm, urging the U.S. to hang tough despite market volatility. Elon Musk hopes for a future with zero tariffs between Europe and the U.S. Now, thousands of protesters have taken to the streets of Barcelona demanding action over the rising cost of housing in Spain. Demonstrators are calling for more affordable housing options as the country faces a growing crisis. According to data from property platform Idealista, Spain is currently building only 90,000 new housing units each year, while 120,000 new households are being formed. This discrepancy has led to a significant housing shortage, driving rents to skyrocket and placing added pressure on families and individuals seeking affordable accommodation. The protests reflect widespread frustration as citizens urge the government to take immediate steps to address the issue and provide more housing solutions to meet the demand. In the world of sports, the managing director of the Niger Delta Sports Commission, Samuel Ogbuku, has stated that the Niger Delta Sports Festival will now be held every 2 years. Hosting rights will rotate among the 9 states in the region, with the festival aimed at discovering grassroots talents to represent Nigeria in future competitions.
Annual event where people from the region will always come together, and it's going to move from state to state among the 9 states of the Niger Delta. Part of the conditions for the sports festival is to ensure that we focus more on amateur, so that these athletes can in future compete for at the federal level and the national level, representing Nigeria, both at the All-African Games and at the Olympic Games. So that is what we are trying to achieve.
Kenya's men's sevens team finished as runners-up at the HSBC SVNS Singapore Sevens, failing 21-12 to Fiji in the final. The Shujaa led at halftime but were undone by 3 second-half tries from Fiji, who secured yet another title. Kenya rejoining the World Series this season after qualifying in Madrid last year, impressed by beating Ireland, France and Spain en route to their first final since 2018. Despite their efforts, second-half defensive lapses allowed Fiji's Viwa Naduvalo and Rauto Vakadranu to score decisive tries. Kenya's William Indakalu added a late try, but a missed conversion sealed their fate. The Shujaa finished 9th overall and must now compete in the Los Angeles playoff for a place in next season's SVNS series. Still talking sports, hundreds of Tottenham Hotspur fans staged a protest on Sunday against the club's ownership and chairman Daniel Levy ahead of their Premier League clash with Southampton. The demonstration, organized by the Change of Tottenham group, expressed frustration over the club's poor season, with Spurs sitting 16th in the league. Fans held flags and scarves bearing messages like "Time for a change" and "Enough is enough," ENIC out, targeting the inner group, which has owned the club since 2001. Chance criticized Levy and called for his departure, highlighting discontent with the club's direction both on and off the pitch. Well, that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. You heard that Nigerian troops have killed 3 bandits, destroyed terrorist hideouts in Taraba. We also heard that prominent opposition leaders in Nigeria are demanding electoral reform. Finally, we told you that torrential rains have killed dozens and injured many in DR Congo's capital, Kinshasa. Remember, you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.